But it is a really big lottery, and I'm talking about the NBA draft lottery. There's so much implications. There's some really good basketball teams that have a chance to secure a top player. And this year's class is pretty fucking stacked. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we get 5 or 6 all-star caliber year in, year out players out of this class. And that's just in like the top 4. Like 4 of those 5 or 6 could literally be the first 4 picks. And then I think there's really good depth in this class as well. So I'm gonna go based off of vibes today, and I'm gonna give you guys like my top 10 players. Monday after the lottery, I'll do like a full breakdown of this year's class. But there's so much implications going into this year's draft lottery. We have a team in the Oklahoma City Thunder who have a 0.3% worse chance than the team that got the number 1 overall pick last year. That's the Thunder's chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. Probably not going to happen, but it would be insane. If the Thunder even get, they're probably going to get like a from 10 to 14. That's where the odds are right now. Even if they get like that type of pick, we're looking at a Keaton Wagler, Michael Brown Jr., Nate Amen, maybe an Ade Mara, a Koa Pete. Like, no matter which way you slice it, the Thunder are going to get, at worst, and they draft really, really well. They took AJ Mitchell from UC Santa Barbara in like the late 2nd round. That guy is been disgusting for them in the playoffs. So they're going to get a guy, and I doubt they whip on the pick, like a LeBaron Philon. Looking at some of these names here. Like, nah, Christian Anderson, Tyler Tanner. These are 2 guys projected in the like mid to late first. Those guys are going to be nasty. Yaxel Lendenberg. Like, even if the Thunder don't get like a top 6-7 pick, and they're not getting an Cuff or a Wagler or one of the big 4, and I do think there was a big 4 in this draft class. Caleb Wilson is as good, if not better, than Cam Boozer. He outplayed Cam Boozer in the one matchup they did have against each other. Boozer's a better passer, but he does have, and they are about like the same size in terms of height. Honestly, I feel like Caleb Wilson might be taller. He's more athletic. He's longer. He just doesn't have a jump shot, and he's not as good of a playmaker as Cam Boozer is, but he is more athletic, better defender, better driver, post score is about the same, and Boozer's a 4, and Wilson's on the wing. So I really do like Caleb Wilson a lot. But then DeBance and Peterson, I think, are they should be the first 2 picks in this year's draft. Either way, there's a lot of stuff that can happen, and it starts with the Thunder. As NBA fans, we want to see that Clippers pick come as early as possible. We want to see that Clippers ball come as early as possible, because the Thunder getting a stud, bad for league. Bad for league. We saw they get every whistle. Listen, the Thunder are annoying. I understand that, but I think the unethical stuff was getting a little bit blown out of proportion. And then game 2 happened. And the Lakers were just getting hosed every which way. The amount of ticky-tacky fouls they called against LA, but then that energy just wasn't reciprocated on the other end with the Thunder. Like LeBron was getting hacked sometimes. There was the one where it was so obviously continuation, they called it on the floor. There was the Chet Holmgren obvious flop. And I feel like we have to start penalizing people for flopping, especially if you go to the review and you see that he's obviously flopping, tee him up. It was like a little bit of a foul on Ayton because he was creating space, but it was like very ticky-tacky. So still call the foul on Ayton to be like, okay, Chet was flopping, excessive flopping, tee him up, 1 shot, Lakers, then we'll resume, and LA will get the ball at this end because it was like by rule a foul on Ayton, but Chet acted like he got hit in the face. He didn't get hit in the fucking face. And it's just like the Thunder don't help themselves, and the refs were fucking awful. Like, awful. Like, the Thunder were all over the Lakers. The Lakers had 20 turnovers, but it's like they also had like 8 more free throws. And if you called the game the same way that you like, they shouldn't have had 20 turnovers without at least like 3 or 4 more fouls, and that drops the turnover number down. There was one that counts as a turnover for LA where LeBron is literally just jogging and Alex Caruso stands in front of him, and Alex Caruso gets hit, takes a dive, turnover. It's just the softest things. But either way, that's not the point of this video right now. We're talking about the draft. But we don't want the Thunder to get another nasty player because they already have the refs on their side, at least against the Lakers. They did him for part of the year. Shea's just good at getting to the line. Like, it's not an SGA thing. Like, they're so obviously making it a point. Hey, the refs are going to give us every call. Let's exaggerate everything. They've obviously made that a point, which is soft, pussy, whatever. But then they're going to get a top 10 pick if they can get like a Koa Pete, a Braden Burries. If Nate Ament falls to the Thunder, bro, if Michael Brown falls to the Thunder, oh, that's disgusting, dude. That's disgusting. Like, those are two guys that were projected top 5 picks at the start of the year. Ament struggled early on for Tennessee. He averaged like 25 for a stretch there in February in SEC play. Struggled in the tournament, but he's 6'10", can create his own shot. Good defense. Like, he's a dog if he can develop a little bit. And then Michael Brown was awesome when he was on the floor. There was just some injury concerns. If one of those guys falls to like 9 or 10 and the Thunder are able to swoop one of those guys up, that can be instant role players tomorrow and also has elite upside. Like, oh, that's just not ideal. So NBA fans, we want to see this Clippers pick come up as fast as possible. Now, the other situation to watch, there's a few. The Bucks own both the Pelicans and their own pick. So they own the rights to their pick and the Pelicans pick, but the Hawks have the right to the better pick of the two. It's a little complicated, but let's say the Pelicans get the first overall pick, the Bucks get the second overall pick. The Bucks would keep their own pick, the Hawks would get the first overall pick. So the Bucks have their pick, the Bucks have the Pelicans pick. Whichever is more favorable of those two picks, the Hawks get. And that's huge because the Hawks are a team that has a really solid young core, Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels. If they can add another guy, particularly a younger guard, I think that the Hawks can be a real problem. And they gave the Knicks a little bit of a run for their money. They were up 2-1 in the series, and then the Knicks just turned everything on, and it was good night. Let me get the Hawks roster in front of me. I feel like I'm brain farting. They obviously have CJ McCollum, but who else? Zachary Risachet. So the Hawks could be in a position. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, okay, forgot about a most improved player. Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels. Like, they're in a position where if they add if they get a top 5 pick, let me look at the odds for the Pelicans. So the Pelicans were looking at potential top, right now it's looking like 7, 8, or 9, but they have a 6% chance. So and the Bucks are a little bit lower. So it's likely going to be the Pelicans pick. If the Pelicans can get up to like top 5, or if the Hawks get a top 4 pick, whether it's the Bucks or the Pelicans, and they're able to secure a Wilson, Boozer, Peterson, or DeBansa, that team's going to be contending in the East for the next 5 years, 10 years at least. They should be anyway, unless there's some injuries or some real roster mismanagement. That'd be nasty. Well, how has Zachary Risachet even played, bro? What is that? Was his 3rd year this year? 2nd year this year? 3rd year this year? 2nd year this year. 12 points per game. All right. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of Hawks basketball, and even in the playoffs, I feel like he's a rotational piece. They took him fucking 101, bro. What the fuck? But yeah, the Hawks, they're in an interesting spot here for sure. And then what's the other one? The Pacers. So if the Pacers if the Pacers get the 5th or the 6th overall pick, that becomes the Clippers pick. I don't fucking know how any of this works. So I'm not going to tell you why the situations are what the situations are, but that is unreal. That if the Pacers get 5 or 6, the Clippers come in. The Clippers lose their first-round pick, so they could have a first-round pick, but it would only be at 5 or 6, which would be like Keaton Waller, Darius Cuff range. If the Pacers don't get 5 or 6, the Clippers don't have a first-round pick. That goes to the Thunder, which will be it's unprotected wherever it is. And then you have the Pelicans and the Bucks. The Bucks have the right to both of those picks, and whichever picks is more favorable is going to be the pick that the Hawks get. There we go. And the Nets are guaranteed a top 7 pick. That's where I want to focus now. Well, I don't talk about the Brooklyn Nets a lot. You probably don't even know I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan, chat, but I am. And they had 5 first-round picks last year. It was a developmental year for the Nets. They're the youngest team in the NBA. They have a bunch of cap room. If they can get a top 4 pick, take whoever they want. And I really do like all of these guys. Obviously, I want Peterson or DeBansa. Obviously. But if I have Boozer or Wilson, I wouldn't be that upset. Obviously, I'm more excited for Wilson than Boozer because he's more flashy. He's more fun to watch than Boozer is. But Boozer is phenomenal in his own right. And he is the youngest out of all of them. Not that it really matters. But like if they get one of those guys, I want the Nets to try and trade for Jaylen Brown. Give me Jaylen Brown, Yegor Demin, Cam Boozer, Danny Wolf, fucking Nolan Traore, like Noah Clowney. They still have work to do on the roster. Benjamin Suraf, like dude, all of the person. Oh, whatever. Either way, but even if the Nets don't get one of the top 4 picks, I would be completely okay with the Kingston Flemings, a Keaton Wagler, or a Darius Acuff, which seems like that is the top 7 in my mind anyway. And without like diving deeper into it, that is the top 7 in this year's draft. You have the top 4 with Wilson, Boozer, Peterson, DeBansa. You can order them however you want, although I think you're a clown if you have DeBansa or Peterson not at 1. But and Boozer and Wilson, you can order those guys however you want. But those are the top 4. Then it's Flemings, Wagler, Acuff. And I think there's a little bit of a gap after those guys. But I'm not going to also sit here and say that Koa Pete, Nate Ament, Michael Brown Jr. couldn't be better than any of those guys. I just think they were more proven across their collegiate career. And that's not really Michael Brown's fault. He was injured a lot at Louisville. And when he was on the floor, he was spectacular. Koa Pete, he probably could have risen, like his draft stock would have probably been higher if he didn't go to a team in Arizona that had a bunch of studs and Braden Burries, Jaden Bradley, All-American, Big 12 Player of the Year, Matach Kriva. Like they had a bunch of guys, so his numbers weren't going to be inflated, and he did suffer an injury a little bit late in February. But either way, after Acuff, Wagler, Flemings, Wilson, Boozer, Peterson, DeBansa, I think there is a slight drop off in like how confident I am in this next group of guys. That is like Nate Ament, Michael Brown, LeBaron Philon. I think that's a little high for Philon, but he's a dog. Koa Pete, not Matotsk, Ademara, Yaxel Lendenborg. I almost said Christian Anderson. I love there's some sleepers in this year's draft that when you look at the back portion of the draft, obviously Bennett Sturts is not a sleeper, but he was nasty at Iowa. Like a Christian Anderson or a Tyler Tanner. Anderson from Texas Tech, Tyler Tanner from Vanderbilt. I think those guys are some mid-round studs. What are some day 2 guys? JT Toppin on day 2, would love that. Braden Smith seems like he could come in and be a Tyus Jones and just run an offense. Who else is in these later rounds? Milos Uzan, Emmanuel Sharp, Milan Momcilovic. He might go back to school though. Ryan Conwell, the other guard for Louisville, was nasty last year. He could be a day 2 a sleeper. Floyd Badunga's on here. Why is Flo Badunga? Like a lot of these guys are going back to school. Malik Thomas. This Tankathon has Malik Thomas mocked to the Nets in the 2nd round. I would fucking love that. He was a dog. Abuka Corey. I didn't realize Abuka Corey's 6'2". He's not 6'2". Tankathon's got to update their shit, but he's a guard from Stanford. He was like top 3 in the nation in scoring. Like this is such. Not only is it an elite at the top, but it's such a deep draft. But of course, the Nets had 5 first-round picks in the year prior. But that's what's going on. And I'll give you guys my top 10 players in this year's draft strictly off of vibes. At number 10 right now, I have Michael Brown Jr. Number 9, I have Koa Pete. Number 8, I have Nate Ament. Number 7, I have Kingston Flemings. Number 6, I have Darius Acuff. Number 5, I have Keaton Wagler. And here's my logic. Wagler, I think, has the highest floor out of Acuff and Flemings. He's not like undersized the way Acuff is. He's not a complete liability. He also can score the way Acuff and Flemings can. It wasn't as consistent, and it's more dependent on his shot falling than getting to the cup, and that's where Acuff and Flemings, like their first step, their explosiveness is nasty. Wagler doesn't quite have that explosiveness, although he can. He's still a threat to drive to the rim. He's more of a ball handler, shot creator. Not that Acuff and Flemings aren't, but when his shot's falling, he's disgusting. He can get any shot he wants on the floor. Just go ask Purdue. He had 40-something in Mackey. Wagler's also the best passer of the bunch, and I just think he's going to translate. Like this guy, shout out Tyler. I don't know if Tyler listens, but he made a point in one of my live streams. He was like, Wagler reminds me a lot of Halliburton. And ever since he said that, I just can't get that thought out of my head. And I think Wagler might be like a better shot creator, like initially, than Halliburton is. Halliburton's a better playmaker for sure at Iowa State. But either way, I like Wagler. And then I have Boozer at 4, Wilson at 3, Peterson at 2, DeBansa at 1. DeBansa and Peterson is interesting, but I feel like DeBansa's floor is higher. He's just as skilled as a scorer, I would argue, like maybe slightly less in terms of his ability. I don't know though. Like, what can Peterson do from a scoring standpoint that Debanza can't? And Debanza's 4 inches taller, didn't miss games with cramps, and like to be on the floor at all times. Like, well, I honestly don't know. Like, Darren Peterson, there's nothing Darren Peterson can do offensively that AJ Debanza can't. You could argue like his layup packages around the rim, like Darren Peterson had some crazy lays, I guess. But Debanza gets to the free throw line better. He's bigger, better defender, even though, dude, DP is nasty. He was a great defender. Like, Kansas had one of the best defenses for KenPom in the country last year. So they're both nasty. I love Peter. Like, Peterson's just so silky smooth to watch. The Banta, I just feel like, can do everything Darren Peterson can do offensively, and he's 3 inches taller. That's really what it comes down to. And he didn't miss games for cramps. So, and then as far as the Boozer Wilson things, I think Caleb Wilson has the highest ceiling out of anybody in this draft. I think athletically, he's more athletically inclined than AJ Debanza, but he's not as skilled scoring the basketball as Debanza is. Debanza has a 3.3 level score. Caleb Wilson can't really shoot, but he's way more of a threat. Like, in the low post, he's way more of a threat on the block. He's way more of a threat coming downhill and attacking the lane or attacking the rim, and he's a way better defender than Debanza. Not way better. Way better is crazy, but he is the best defender. I think not interior defender, like not including your Ed Maras. Like, I think Caleb Wilson can be an instant starter because like productive starter because of his defensive ability. But then again, he's not gonna be able to space the floor, and he probably is gonna be like a 4 or 5. But okay, he needs a jumper. Like, Caleb Wilson needs a jumper. I think his floor is a Sar Thompson right away. Like, his floor is one of the Thompson twins right away, but probably a better scorer, quite frankly. Yeah, I like Caleb Wilson a lot. If he can get a jumper and improve his handle a little bit, he can be a dog. And then yeah, that's how it is. So I have Wilson at 4, Boozer at 3. You want a top 4 pick? I think those guys are all going to be really, really solid players. Top 7 is ideal, and then after 7, I think there's a little bit of a drop off. But either way, this year's draft is insanity. Hit that thumbs up button. Follow for more. Subscribe for more